Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. Today we're talking about focus, but we're also talking about, I think, life satisfaction. Would kind of subscribe that rather well. The focus / productivity being something that a lot of people are talking about. A lot of people are willing to quote unquote learn. A lot of people are willing to know more about. Yes, it is useful. It is good. It is whatever, but I think it is also important not to be too invested in trying to get this new hack, trying to get this new technique and trying whatever, but also trying to figure out what is working for you and you only, period. Because there probably are some things that I'm going to say today or I'm going to talk about today that may not necessarily work for you that well. First of all though, I have gone through a few articles, mainly by Tim Ferriss and also some by, it wasn't necessarily an article, but also a video by Andrew Huberman, who is actually a really great source when it comes to focus, visual focus, and also in general focus, and I would also say discipline, because this apparently plays into that as well. But first of all, Tony Robbins about suffering and actually seeing patterns, seeing habits and changing those patterns, changing those thought patterns and thought habits. And the first thing one has to do to be able to change that is actually seeing them. And trying to work them out, trying to figure them out. Because I cannot change anything that I cannot see. So there apparently are 3 triggers, and there might be tons of different concepts and tons of different things that one might focus on, might have in mind and whatever. But one trigger is loss. I have read back in the days, and I think this is still applicable and still a thing, that loss hurts more than gaining something is pleasurable. So when I'm losing an apple, when I'm losing a pen and whatever, it is more painful than gaining one apple or gaining one pen, and so on and so forth. You get the trick. So loss is a trigger. When I think that I will lose something or I have lost something, when I in my mind paint this picture that I indeed lost something or I am about to lose something, this is a trigger. Second of all, feeling like you have less than maybe somebody else. And the third one is never. Just saying never. I'll never be this. I'll never be that. I'll never have this. I'll never have that. And so on. Don't say that. Just don't. Because one is painting a picture that also when it comes to loss, which is a bit more complicated though, I think. What is never? Am I never gonna be happy? Who the fuck knows? Of course, what I'm now saying, I am young, still young, and I'm having a lot of time in front of me, might not be applicable to everyone, but we still have quite a few years. I think everyone that is watching this video or listening to the podcast and whatever is still having some time, quite some time indeed. And 1 year is a lot of time. Half a year is even a lot of time in which we can create this change that we should be creating. So me saying I will never be happy, I will never be successful, I will never get this to work, and whatever, so on and so forth, this is not really true, and this is not really what things are like. This is not the truth, quite. I cannot say that. Nobody fucking knows, and I just don't know either. So mastering the mind is important, because if you are not mastering the mind is going to master you. And as interesting as it is, this is also something I have read in a summary about learning by a champion in, I think it was kind of a memorizing championship and whatever, who also said you have to paint this picture of actually being quite self-confident that you're going to be able to make it, that you're going to be able to learn that. Being in this space, being in this space of mind, frame of mind, having this worldview just enables you to also then do that. If you're very pessimistic, which for some people is the case and also for me is the case quite often, it just gets harder. I don't want to say that it is impossible. because never say never. But I think it is tremendously hard then to do that. So having this picture painted, having this bit of a introduction, bit of a worldview, quite a few things to think about. When I'm trying to do something, when I'm trying to get done something, one of those questions, one of those thoughts that quite frequently and quite initially pop into my mind is, would that bother me? So when I'm about to do something, does it bother me that I am not doing something else now? Or in the future, will it bother me that I haven't done it now instead of the other thing that I'm participating in at this point, or whatever the fuck I'm doing? For example, now me recording this podcast is basically this thing. I know that later in the day, I would have told myself, okay, why haven't you done this earlier? You should have done this earlier. I want to get certain things out of the way so that I can concentrate on some different things. Learning for me. So this is a big one for me personally that I have seen recently and also back in the days quite frequently. Then would I be satisfied only accomplishing this? When you are about to do something, would you be satisfied if you in this day only accomplished this particular task or this particular thing? Would you be happy about that? If no, do something else. If yes, keep doing this, and maybe having a list of certain items or certain tasks that you are about to do today or that you're having to do today. Keep that in mind and work on that, having that list. And also, will it make other things easier to knock off? For example, me doing the podcast today, is it then easier for me to sit down and study and learn the shit that I have to learn? Probably yes, because I'm not having this other thing. I'm not having the podcast in mind all the fucking time, and I can just, shift my focus completely. Not being bothered by some thoughts that might come up and then whatever that would really fucking piss me off indeed. So also something to consider. These two questions, by the way, are from Tim Ferriss. There are a ton of really great also videos by him and articles, of course, and then whatever that you might be getting into to see what you can get out of these techniques and get out of certain thoughts. But still, I do want to underline, spending your whole day being quote unquote busy trying to research this new thing, this new task, this new hack, this new whatever, to increase your productivity, increase your focus and whatever the fuck, is probably not time spent very well, to be honest. So being busy and this whole thought of, okay, I'm having 7 trillion companies and I am working on all of them simultaneously, I'm such a busy person. It might sound cool to other people, it might seem cool to other people, but in the end, no. Being busy is just trying to get away from certain things that you actually have to do. Focus. And this is now the section from Andrew Huberman. There are tons of minutes, let's say like this, tons of minutes of really great resources around focus, being able to focus better, being able to shift your focus, to train your focus quite, and therefore then also being more productive and also being more efficient by being able to focus on whatever you're doing better, and I would say fast as well. Getting into a certain space and letting it take, 3 hours. Not great. Not great for one. Being able to get into this mode, get into this flow state quite maybe quickly is also a great skill to have, I would say. Visual focus. Picking a spot somewhere, probably far away in your room or when you're having a window outside and whatever, and focusing on the spot for quite some time, a few minutes, without blinking. If you're having to blink, you should blink. Medically speaking, you should fucking blink. Don't blink, don't get hurt and then whatever. Just pick a spot and focus on it. And Huberman said that and I've also tried it, you'll quickly realize that it is not that easy. Your body's being like, okay, you have to do something else. Probably mind racing, probably you being like, okay, I have to get up, I have to move, which is also quite the feeling that I have had when I was meditating. At this point in time, I'm not meditating anymore, unfortunately. It is still something that I have to get into again. But when you're starting to meditate, the first few times, you will notice that it is not easy, because you think you have to move, everything itches and whatever. You just have to kind of move for whatever reason, Sitting still and watching a movie fucking all day long is easy, but just sitting down doing nothing is actually quite difficult. So visual focus, starting with that and kind of, building this awareness, what it feels like. And also, I would therefore say, and this is basically going back to the intro, having the discipline to push through those difficult things, those difficult areas of those exercises. Sticking to a plan and hitting milestones also being a huge one Huberman was talking about in this video, and doing things out of stone, something that I have written down. These two. Do you know anybody that is trying to train his or her focus? Is there anybody that is so disciplined that maybe quite huge parts of their life are planned and they are trying to hit those milestones? And I'm really not talking about like, okay, you have to build this business, you have to, this dumb shit. Unfortunately, a lot of social media channels, let's put it like this, are putting out there. I don't think that it is really important for everyone to have their own business, to be I don't know, like there's so many things those channels, those people are talking about, are spreading, are trying to spread. And I think also people really believe in that, but it kind of bothers me. The reason why I'm willing to think about productivity and also sharing those thoughts and those pieces of information that I'm researching there is because I believe that it makes lives better by being able to have an easier time getting those things done that you should be getting done, because sometimes we just have to do the work, whether it is studying to get to where we want to be, actually working, whatever job it might be. Thinking about that also, by the way, the 80-20 rule and so on and so forth, just making your life easier and, quite also making more time for doing things that you indeed enjoy. If work and whatever you're having to work on is not really something that you enjoy, because at some point, I think we all realize, and a lot of people realize, that we have just a certain amount of time on this planet. And I believe that spending this time that we're having on something that we just really don't enjoy, this cool business that we are trying to build, is really not worthwhile. I'm not saying that you should not have your thing going on, you shouldn't have your podcast, but whatever. But having a greater goal and having a reason why to do that, and I think should not necessarily be selfish, makes sense, and is probably a really good idea also to make it more sustainable, and so that you can indeed do that for longer. This is also one of the reasons why when you're researching something or when you're working on something that is really fun for you, you can do this for quite a long time. So some things I've got and said, if I remember that correctly, and it is paraphrased, professionals, well, not necessarily professionals, but one can learn to love one's job, or have fun doing one's job. Doesn't have to be the other way around, it doesn't have to be, okay, I'm having this hobby, I'm having this one thing that I really like to do, and so I'm making it my job, but also the other way around. This is, I think he was also talking about being a professional, like trying to enjoy those things that you're doing anyways. It makes sense, your life probably isn't easier by being pissed off every day because you make yourself believe that whatever you're doing is such a shitty job and that you hate it, instead of, picking out those 3, 4, 5 things that you indeed enjoy. And I'm not talking about painting a picture that is not reality and talking yourself into certain things so that you believe certain things yourself. This is not what I'm intending to spread here, but wondering questioning things and making things more interesting by engaging with them, by thinking more about it, not trying to get rid of it, every single second of your life. I hate my work, don't want to have to do anything with it. Maybe there are parts that you indeed really enjoy and find deeply interesting, and maybe just making a game out of it. How fast can it be so that I can get home as quickly as I can, so that I can do things that I enjoy a bit more. But still, being busy, and I think this is one of the most important points, being busy and seeing being busy as cool, I think does not make any sense, and is definitely not advisable by me, and not advisable by so many great minds and so many great thinkers. They actually ditch it, but on the contrary, painting this picture, having this worldview of those guys were only working, those people, those amazing women that we've seen in history as well, they have only been working, they've only just been productive all day long. This is also not quite the truth. Quite a lot are depressed, quite a lot of these people are drinking and whatever. So this perfect picture that we sometimes paint for ourselves and other people paint for us, it is not always the truth. But yeah, with that being said, I'm hopefully gonna see you next time.